And it's exactly 7:31 a.m. the 24th day of February 2025. I hope that you are doing fine. I hope that your month is going great, and I hope that you're having a great start of the new week. How are you doing? Where are you listening to me from? I am Diddy, and this is Citizen FM 93.7 right here in the heart of Abuja. And you can listen to us from anywhere in the world. You could listen to us from practically anywhere. All you have to do is just log on to citizenfm.ng, citizenfm.ng, and you'd have us live in your speakers online. And of course, for those who are joining me on YouTube, I want to say thank you very much for joining me. We've been on YouTube for like 15 minutes thereabouts on DIDIRATTI on YouTube. You can find me there, and it's been an interesting run so far. You know, people have been, there's a poll going on. You know, I was wondering if you would like, you know, your stories with analysis. I've had people say what they wanted, and we're getting votes, and the interaction's pouring in. I want to appreciate every single one of you. Thank you, Howard Ambauchi, who was like the very first person who joined me today. Thank you. Gazi, I see you. I don't know what exactly the situation is with you, but I'm sure you'll be fine. Patrick, thank you. Patrick Vogt. Yeah, Patrick Vogt. Tell me where you're watching from. Rudy as well. Hi, Rudy. Rudy wants me to have a nice work day, and I want you to also have a nice work day. All right, so let's get started on radio. As per usual, between now and 8 o'clock, I'll be bringing you stories from around Africa. What is happening? In some areas, it's not exactly very great stories because of civil unrest, because of upheaval in these places. There have been calls, there have been peace deals, there have been, you know, encouragement, enjoyment, and people are saying, oh, please embrace peace and all of that. But we keep seeing the reports from these places. Lives are being lost on a daily. People are losing their homes and settlement areas every single day. And it now begins to feel like, okay, it's just conversations, holding talks now and again, encouragement from here and there. But the real deal is that these places are still experiencing bags and bags of civil unrest. So DR Congo has been on the very front line of, you know, not so great stories as this season is concerned. And this is not even starting now. This has been on for a pretty long time. Some parts of eastern DRC is Democratic Republic of Congo, by the way, some parts of DRC have been taken over by rebels. And the update on that is that even the United Nations have called for a ceasefire in Congo. But then again, that's why I'm wondering how much effect or impact have these words held over time? You know, because just about 2 weeks ago we saw different presidents and leaders from different parts of Africa having a meeting, especially as it concerned the situation in DR Congo. We saw the president of Kenya, we saw president of Rwanda, we saw presidents of other countries having a meeting, talking about why there is a need for peace. We even saw, Guterres giving his opinion on the situation and encouraging peace in these places. But over time, you wonder, what exactly is the situation? Anyway, the United Nations Security Council has unanimously adopted a resolution just over the weekend. They are calling for an immediate and an unconditional ceasefire in DRC. So we know that so far so good. Some cities have been taken over by the rebels. You know, the argument is that, they are Rwanda-backed rebels. So they've taken control of some cities, some major cities, as a matter of fact, in Congo's mineral-rich eastern region. And this the takeover happened in less than a month. But build up to this situation, it didn't just start today, you know. But whatever the situation is, we're hoping for, you know, the very best at the end of the day, the one that will favor the people. Nicolas Rivera is the representative to the United Nations in France, and this is what he had to say. He said, there is no military solution to the conflict. The M23 offensive supported by Rwanda must end. The priority now is to reach an effective and an unconditional and an immediate ceasefire agreement. There's just been accusations back and forth, counter accusations. Oh, it's your people. Oh, it's not my people. Paul Kagame, who is Rwanda's president, has accused Congolese President Tshisekedi of neglecting the concerns of Congo's ethnic Tutsis and disregarding previous peace agreements. But then again, you just realize that this may not exactly be the time to point fingers yet. Can we sheath the sword? Can we just have whatever the situation is going on, can we just have it contained so that when we're sure that the people are safe, when we're sure that the people are okay, we can now begin to have this conversation of, oh, it was your fault, oh, it was not your fault. Priority now should be peace. Anyway, Nicolas de Rivera goes on to say, while it took the council some time to reach a consensus, its resilience is evident. That's the council's resolve is evident. So he says, on behalf of the government and all citizens of DRC, that's Democratic Republic of Congo, especially those from Bunagana to Kamanyola, Goma, which has been taking over, Sake, Minova, Kalebe, Kavumu, and Bukavu. Bukavu too has been taken over. I sincerely thank all members of the council. That's what he said. Representatives to the United Nations in DRC. So far, so good. I just hope that, again, this is not one of those meetings that people will just have meetings, take notes, go home, and nothing is done. Several years down the line, we're still having the same conversation on, oh, it's your fault, it's not my fault, and then the wanton destruction to lives and property persists. This will not be our story. Anyway, just last week, during the course of last week, I brought the story of how that U.S. Secretary of State said he would not attend a meeting in South Africa because of the situation in South Africa, starting from the beginning of the story. When Donald Trump came into office, he passed an executive order, cutting aid to South Africa, saying that some diplomatic ties would have to be severed between USA and South Africa. There have been reactions to that. Now, when he was asked what the problem was, his explanation was that there were efforts in South Africa to take land from the Afrikaners, the white community in South Africa. That was his argument. And the president of South Africa explained that it might not be the full situation. We saw the Afrikaners, those from the Dutch descent in South Africa, come out, do street solidarity movement to say, oh, we support entirely what Donald Trump is doing, speaking up for the white folks in South Africa. Now, related to that, or just a run-up to that, South Africa was supposed to host the G20 meeting of foreign ministers over the course of the weekend. But we saw U.S. Secretary of State come out to clearly say that he will not be attending the meeting because of how South Africa is treating the white population in the country. Anyway, whether or not he was at the meeting did not matter because the meeting held in the end. Global conflict was one of the major concern or the conversation that was had at that meeting. It's closely related to what is happening in Africa and, in fact, other parts of the world. We know that we cannot talk about world peace and not mention Russia-Ukraine. That has been on for, 2-3 years now? And get used to it as we may, because that's one of the problems with the human mind. At some point you just get accustomed to it, especially if you don't live in these places. It now becomes a case of they're fighting there. It's true. But then again, people who live in these places, they are the first bearers of the brunt of some of these moves. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, that conversation took center stage on the second day as well as on the final day of the G20 meeting of foreign ministers in South Africa. South Africa has tried to downplay, the whole situation that's happening in South Africa as a country, because they're not also devoid of their own brouhaha. I just mentioned it earlier. What's happening between Pretoria, Washington? We saw the U.S. delegation saying they will not attend it, and they really did not attend it. Anyway, South Africa responded. They said that it was not a train smash. That's how they put it. That's explaining why the U.S. delegation did not attend the meeting. They said, oh, well, it was not a train smash. They didn't attend it, they didn't attend it. So, but we got to move on. But whether or not they were there, crucial deliberations happened. They did. But good thing is that acting U.S. ambassador was there at the meeting, Dana Brown. It was actually the first of its kind. The first African country to hold the presidency of the group of top economies, representing about 85% of global GDP and three-quarters of trade. Anyway, so the meeting reiterated that all states